Tonight on DFY Magic Themes, we'll be talking about GMBs, hosting, WordPress, and lots more. Well, good evening to you. It's that Friday feeling again. We've made it past another week amazingly. And good evening to people in the Zoom room already. I know that Barry was first in. He's eager, and followed by Richard, Lynn, Colin, Stefan and Bob. And I know some others will pop in as we go along. Tonight we're talking about Google My Business. We're talking about hosting, talking about WordPress, Kadence and lots more. Good evening to all of you, and I hope you had a wonderful week. We'll get going very shortly. Well, hello, good evening, and welcome. Hope you're all doing well. How you doing, Robert?
Fantastic. It's Friday, and that music, love it.
It is good, isn't it? I'm going to do a quick roll call of people, the Inner Circle members who are in here. So, of course, Barry was first, then Bob, Colin, Lynn, Richard, Stefan. And I know as we go along, more people will pop in the room. It's either that or they're all asleep in bed, but it's cool. It's cool. So, and tonight we wanted to start talking about Google My Business, or its Google Business Profile, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to share my screen because we talked about this news article last week, and we thought we'd talk about it tonight because we've actually got it on our screens now. First of all, I'll say, guys, this is nothing to be scared of. If you've got a Google My Business listing, you're going to be fine if it's under the rank and rent. The thing with this is it's being careful with it. That's the thing. The person here that they're talking about in this article was selling GMB listings, hundreds of them, hundreds and hundreds, and he's in another group. We'll pop down now, and so it was a guy on here called Ethan, and he was selling all these GMB listings, and it's against Google's terms and conditions. You're not allowed to sell GMBs to make a profit. In the same way, they sort of say in the article, having fake GMBs isn't a good thing. Now, we always teach, build your website, your rank and rent website first. Do all your citations and online listings elsewhere. Don't worry about the GMB. If Google offers you one, then accept it. But the major thing, if you do, I would recommend setting up a separate Gmail account and put it inside of there so that it's not so traceable between all of them. But personally, I think it's better to rent your website out to a local business. Once you've got that website rented, then if they haven't got a GMB, offer to set one up for them and send a postcard to them. If they have got one, ask if you can be a manager of it, right, and get your tracking number from Twilio onto that website so you can track the calls, and also the URL of your rented website on their GMB. Most local businesses do not have a clue how to manage their GMB listings. So that's another service that you can offer. Think about it. If you turn around and go $50 a month, $100 a month or something, I will manage your profile. I'll upload images you send me. I'll do posts on there for you. I'll create you a Google G site. I'll do everything to do with your GMB for X amount per month. It's another sideline, which is why we talked about the other week. If you want to get a foot in the door, offer a $99 site to people, but don't give them locations. Give them just one location. So I live in a town called Crewkerne. If I set up a plumbing site for Crewkerne, I'd then be renting that site out to a local plumber, only Crewkerne. So then I can go back to them and go, would you like these other locations as well? Well, you're paying $99. If you up it to $250 a month, I can give you a wider area. And on top of that, have you got a GMB? No. What's a GMB? It's a Google My Business profile. No. Well, I'll set you one up. You get a postcard for your door. We'll manage that for you initially. And then we can talk in a few months' time about where we're going with getting more clients for your business. And I think that's a better way of doing things than having 50 GMBs that Google will shut down anyway. If they know it's fake, they shut them down. And the reason this person got into trouble was because it was a fake business profile. They're posting fake reviews on it and selling real business leads to customers who seek services from real businesses. So
okay, let me interject there for a second.
Yeah.
This thing, why did Google even care? Right? They jumped in and they made an example of this because, for one, they're huge, but for two, local businesses are then being sold these GMBs, or the GMBs are being sold to other marketers, right? So that guy made a business out of selling Google properties that he doesn't own that are fake. And what came back around is Google said, no, you're not going to hurt my customers out there that want to have their legitimate Google partners listing, and they want to pay us to push it to the top of the rank. They make money on those now. They don't want to lose money because the local businesses say, oh no, that's all a scam. These guys are selling those every other day, hundreds of them at a time. And they're not what they used to be and all that. They don't want that bad publicity. So they're making an example of this guy that, let's just talk about it for a second, Steve, in case some people may know, most people do, but if you don't, it's okay. There's white hat techniques that you use in marketing. There's gray hat techniques, and there's black hat techniques. And all three of them are levels of how far will you push the boundaries to either rank a site or do something online. If you're going to go, it's like the conversation of being on the regular internet or on the dark web, right? Where everything is illegal and you're buying people's personal information and credit cards and all these things on the dark web. Well, same thing with white hat, which is perfectly acceptable, and it's the right things to do for Google for doing any kind of ranking, to do website building, to do anything that you're doing online. White hat is 100% Google approved. Gray hat, it's you're in the middle. You're starting to do things that borderline outside of white hat. And when you go to black hat, you're doing anything you can to get something to rank, and it doesn't matter how you do it. Or you're doing things that outside of Google's terms and conditions. So we, without a doubt, always want you guys to do everything up front, be transparent, and be 100% white hat. It's just the right way to do it. If you don't, you're gonna skirt that edge, and if you fall off the edge, then you're going to the dark side, so to speak. But this is what's happening, and this group, which was boasting and talking about all the hundreds and hundreds of listings that they were buying and selling, right? They all got caught up. How many? I know you guys all know this. It's so silly, but how many of us are naive enough to think that Google doesn't hear every word that we say? That the stuff that we write in our websites, they don't know what's going on. How many of us are really that naive? I know there's a lot of American people that are not internet savvy and that are, what's the term? I would call them sheep. They just follow. They don't know, they don't question, they just follow. But as we get smarter and smarter and we get more plugged in, it's absolutely terrifying to think that every day, every conversation that we say in our home can be or will be monitored and shared, right? If you don't believe that, you ought to look into things online.
You should try doing the old thing where tonight I'm going to talk about sky hooks, and later on my mobile phone, when I'm searching for stuff, something's going to come up to do with hooks, because it's listening in on you all the time, and it's written into a lot of terms and conditions in the background that no one reads. That you end up saying something and you go, that's a bit convenient, that's come up on my phone, or I'm on my computer now, that's linked to my Alexa, and all that's connected, and then these are the things that can happen all the time. And so, I would say to people, like, coming back to the GMB and Google's decisions on that person had to be doing quite a lot of black hat stuff and selling them, and making money off the back of Google, which Google doesn't like.
Yeah, and he was hurting Google's reputation in a way.
Yeah.
Where they said, no, this is not going to happen, so we're going to go after him.
I've had GMB shut down that I'd set up on a recommendation of somebody else, who said set yourself up a GMB, and it got shut down. And my attitude to it is, I don't worry about GMBs. What I'd rather do is have my website on page 1 of Google and pay Google a little bit of money for advertising to get my site seen anyway. And then Google's going to love my site more because I'm advertising it with them. I'm spending money with them. But there's also, you can focus on websites like Bing and some of the other search engines to get traffic from. But the ultimate thing is if you approach somebody with a ready-made website like the ones from DFY Magic Themes, and you set it all up, and you approach someone who hasn't got a website, and you want to get your foot in the door with them, you say, I've got a special deal at the moment for the first year. It's $99 a month, and that's covering your hosting, maintenance of the site, and the local and your local area, which is Bristol, for an example, or Wellington. And they go, yeah, I like the look of the site. That's brilliant. Can I have my name on it? And you can either put the price up a bit more to have their own name on it, or just put their name on it. Make it their site, but they're renting it from you. And like we've said before, time and time again, get them to put on their paperwork, on their vans, get it everywhere, because once they've done all of that, they're not going to leave you for a long time. When you get into 6 months down the line, you can go back to them where you've got that relationship then and say, right, now I can offer you more location areas. And if you're willing to bring your budget up to $250 a month, I can give you this, and this area. And I can give you this X, Y, Z. There's a bunch of things you can end up doing, on top of that, offering a service to look after that, manage their GMB for them, because Google knows there are agencies out there, and if you become a manager of multiple GMBs, then they assume you're a manager, so an agency. And so as long as you're doing everything prim and proper on their GMB listings, there's not a problem. And
the reality is your business is helping your customer, your client, take care of their GMBs, take care of their website, take care of their online presence, whatever your business model is. But at the end of the day, as long as you're doing things white hat and you're not doing things sketchy out there, it's okay. It's all good. And your clients need that help. I mean, just pull back for a minute and take away all the technology crap, right? And let's say you're a house builder and that's your company. Do you think because you're a house builder that you're going to be the plumber, the electrician, the painter, the concrete guy, the roofer? No, you're going to sub that all out to be the house builder and bring all these people in and do all those trades. It's the same thing with the websites. It's the same thing with the GMBs. These local businesses don't want to do all of that. They want it done for them because they don't understand it and they don't want to take the time to learn it. So that's our business, is making sure that we take care of those clients in the things that we want. Now, your decision is, what do you want your agency to do? Do you want it to do the painting or the plumbing or the roofing or the what? What is your business model? You want to do what's the least amount of work for the biggest amount of pay.
Yeah.
And that's where you go. But I thought that it's worth talking about because people are going to jump all over that article and say, well, if you get an extra GMB, you're going to get sued. No, I don't think so. Because, in our business model, if they don't offer it, you don't take it.
It won't be worth Google's time to sue an individual who's got 1 or 2 GMBs that aren't real. They'll just shut them down if they find out about them.
The way that they're going down and shutting them down, even for legitimate businesses, they're not doing the right thing, in my opinion.
I think that's because it's AI driven. AI has been around for many years, longer than we realize. It's in every walks of life when it comes to anything online, and there's robots checking these out and confirming whether they're real or not. And then if it really gets flagged, they get a human being to phone the number up. The common thing I've heard from my friend at Google is what happens every so often. Some of these GMBs come up, and a representative will call the phone number and see who answers to offer them a sales opportunity of some sort, or advertising. And of course, if it says John's gardening and Bob's gardening answers, hello, Bob's gardening, they're going to think, well, that's a bit strange. You're not John's gardening, are you? No, I'm not. No, I meant that from somebody else. So that's where the GMB can get shut down. They're not going to come after every single person, because it will cost them a fortune to try and sue an individual person who could just shut their business down at the end of the day and say, I'm not going to pay you, I haven't got any money. It's the big boys who are creating thousands of these GMBs, ranking them, and then selling them for a profit in their own pocket. And then what happens a few months later? Google shuts that GMB down anyway. So you've wasted your money buying a GMB from someone like that anyway. So this is why we always come back to build your website, get it on, do the work to get it on page 1 of Google, but initially rent it out for $99 a month to somebody. I've said this all along, 10 of those is $1,000 a month in your pocket. It's not hard to go and find 10 customers on different niches, or 10 customers on the same niche in different areas, and say, I've got a site for $99 a month you can rent. Then you've got that rapport with them. Once you build the rapport up with people, then you can go back and offer them other services. And I think that's the exciting thing with what we're doing with what we do in Rank and Rent at the end of the day. And and so this leads us on. I wanted to talk about out hosting, because it's something we don't bring up that often. And those that are new to us, you can go, if you're looking for hosting, you can go to dfymagicthemes.com/hosting. But I wanted to share my screen because over the time, hosting has changed. But if you haven't got hosting with us, then you'd come over to dfymagicthemes.com/hosting. You'd create an account and you'd order the hosting at $27.20 a month. If you have got hosting with us, go to the client area. And once you're in your client area, come down to the hosting briefcase. And you'll see in here straight away the packages you've already got. And I haven't set this up properly, but on yours, because this is a new account, you'll have an add hosting button at the top here. And in a little while, Robert, I'll go in and add it before and show it to people on the inner circle. There'll be an add hosting button here, and you click add. You put your domain name in and select the package and click add, and then they all display here in one place. So if you haven't got the add button up here, raise a support ticket, go to dfymagicthemes.com/support if you're already an existing customer, and say my hosting's not right, and our team will come and have a look and make sure it's set up correctly for you. Because you don't need to buy hosting if you've already got it from us, and you just click the add button up there, and I'll show that on the inner circle once I've adjusted this account, so I completely forgot earlier. But I wanted to talk about WordPress also. Important thing with any host company is to make sure you install some sort of backup plugin, and there are tons and tons out there. But the way I back up my sites is to use WP Vivid. Let's go and find it. And I back my sites up once every 3 months. I'll pop into I've got a spreadsheet, and I'll nip in and I'll pop on WP Vivid, and I'll show you a little the things I do. I go into settings first, and I go to advanced settings, and I up this to 500. If you, by the way, if you ever end up with a site that's like a few gig, then leave that at 200. Up your PHP memory to 512. Come down and click Save Changes. The reason we changed that package on here is because if it's under 500 meg, it creates one file only. If it's over 500 meg, you'll end up with 2 files that you have to download and upload both of them again to the restore. So we come back to backup and restore. We hit backup now. Another thing I've noticed, sometimes when you're running this, it can get stuck at 80% or something like that. Leave it, go off, have a coffee, go and do something, come back, because it will eventually end. If it hasn't ended for half an hour, then there may be another plugin on your site, like a security WordPress plugin, that you may have to disable. But now it's down here. Once you've got it, download it and save it somewhere on a USB drive or somewhere safe. Then you know at that point you've got a backup of your site in the last couple of months. And when I come in to do any work on my sites, what I'll then do is I'll come in here, and let's say I'm going to do some work today. I'll delete this backup and get rid of it. And I'll do a fresh backup first of all for that day, just to make sure that I'm starting from scratch with a backup. I'll do my work. If I'm doing lots and lots of stuff on it, I'll do, like, an hour's work, back up again, hour's work, back up again. The reason being is if you do something to your site and mess it up, you can come back to this and do a restore. And it says, I should make the mistake of not doing backups that often, and I'd do like 5 pages and suddenly mess something up, and then I'd have to restore the site back, and I'd lose those 5 pages and hours of work. So it's better to do a little bit of work, do a quick backup, go and have a cuppa while it's backing up, come back again, do some more work, back it up again, and then when you finish, do a final backup that you download, and you've got a copy of that inside of here. And this is free, WP Vivid. And you have other options as well. If it's not backing up for any reason, then do a further test of just do WordPress files on its own, and then do the database on its own, and see if those two back up separately. Because you can still re-upload these again afterwards into one build. And so that's really the basics on that. What I wanted to as well show you inside the hosting is I've got this site already in here. If I click manage, on our hosting, there's a few things you can do. If you ever do an install and you've got a weird URL, which is the temporary URL, on this one, it's local SEO deals-com.lgmdns.com. If you ever end up with a URL like that, come into settings, and you can do this under settings in WordPress as well, which I'll show you where that is in a minute, and change this URL and this one just to be the normal URL. You can see how I've got https://localseodeals.com, and the same there. This is the same with if you've updated the SSL, come in here and change this from HTTP to HTTPS and click save. Our hosting, the SSL takes half an hour to go active, but also in WordPress itself, if you come into settings and general, you can update it here. So if you've got hosting with somebody else and they don't have that feature in the control panel, you update it here. So if you've enabled your SSL on your site and it's not working, come in here and see if that's got HTTPS, and that's the same, and the URL is the actual URL of the domain name in both of these boxes. And that's the best way forward with that. All right. Other little tips for our hosting, we'll nip in a moment and I'll show you a couple other bits. PHP. What I love about this control panel is we can change the PHP version. So we come into here, and when it loads, we click on here. Now, if you've got a ready built site and the PHP version is 7, bring it up to like 7.3, change the version, come back to your site and come back to the dashboard, just refresh and see if there's any updates. All right, because sometimes when you jump from one PHP version right the way up to version 8.1, I always leave it one lower than the top on mine. Sometimes your site breaks, and if it does, what you can simply do if your site's broken for any reason is just come back in and lower the PHP back to a lower version than before, and that will that'll work, and then bring it up slowly and do your updates. And that's the same with most host companies with this as you work your way up. And then also another thing to look at on SSL, sorry, on PHP. Type right. Now, other hosts will differ. We've got the PHP configuration file on ours. If you're having upload problems, you've got a max post size here. You can come in here and change this to allow you to up it. I up my memory limit as well to 512. And this post max size to 512 as well. And that way then you can update that, and that'll just make the site run a wee bit quicker and have a bit more memory allowance. Any higher than that, I think the server restricts you anyway, so there's no point going much higher than that. What else is there I can show you on here? And you may want to be playing this back at some point. This is a good little tip for you. If you forget your password to your site, and you can get to PHP on most control panels, and you go, oh my God, I've completely forgotten my password. Come into my PHP admin, sign into the actual dashboard, and everyone will get this exact looking dashboard. And what you want to do is look for the users, and in here there'll be a user where I've forgotten my password. Hit edit, come down to where it says passwords, hit user pass, type in a new password, select MD5 in the list, and then come down and hit go. And that will change your password on WordPress as an admin. All right. That's why we recommend having 2-factor authentication on your hosting to stop anyone ever getting in. But if you forget your password and you're not getting the password reset coming in for whatever reason, or you've lost your email address to Gmail and you can't get to it, that's a way you can come in here and update your password. I wouldn't change anything else inside here unless you know what you're doing, but that is literally how you do it. WP users, change the password, MD5, and click go. And then you'll be able to log back into WordPress and carry on from there. Was there something else I was going to go over? I think the other bits.
Let's loop back, because that's great information, but it's scary information at the same time. But let's go back to making sure you have your name servers set and that you're off the hosting, because that's it. We've been talking about it for 3 months.
We're going to touch on that in the inner circle.
Okay. So,
right. So those that have hosting with us that aren't on the inner circle, just make sure your name servers are the lgmdns.com name servers. If they're not, open a support ticket by going to dfymagicthemes.com/support. But we're going to talk more about that on the inner circle, because we don't give everything away, Robert. We don't give everything to all the groups.
I was just making sure that anybody that has the old hosting versus the new hosting, that they have a way to go check if they're not sure, because
Yeah.
it's shutting down. And if your site disappeared and you didn't do a backup, well, you're starting over again. So this is why we showed you how to do backups and how to do them inside of the WordPress dashboard with WP Vivid. It's not a long, hard process. Now, the one thing, I don't know if you said that there or not, Stephen, but if you did that backup and it's sitting there on your website, that's not going to do you any good if you lose your website. You have to have a copy on your local machine or a local drive or on the cloud somewhere.
Which is why
you can't just have everything in your website and then the site's gone. It's not going to work.
Now, just to say, that control panel I've just shown you guys, if you're inside of a control panel like that, you're on the new hosting, nothing to worry about. We've got some accounts still on the old hosting. We are aware who they are, and we've been moving them. So you don't have to panic yet. If you log in and you see a panel called Direct Admin, that is the old hosting where we've had fun with it, and we're getting rid of it for that reason. But we have moved people over, and we are aware of the accounts that are left to be moved. Not that many, so you don't have to panic. All will be good. All right, Bob, your sites are all good. I've made sure they moved over, and I've got some good news for you. As soon as the new version of the Magic Ranker is available, we'll be really looking after you. So that'll put a smile on your face. All right. So that's all I'll say to you on that. All right. But I haven't forgotten about you. It's the fact that we've been waiting on a couple of bits with it, and the new Magic Rankers. I would like it ready by the end of next week. I think it might be a couple of weeks, and as soon as it is ready, I'll be jumping on a call with you, Bob, and you're going to love what we're doing with it. So, but we're going to go to. I think we should go into the Inner Circle only, yeah, and then we'll talk to everyone on that, yeah.
You want to answer Richard's question?
Directory site is on its way, and the good news is that it's going to be it's certainly. I've been told by my dev, no more than a week max, maybe even a couple of days. So let's go to the Inner Circle only. If you're not part of the Inner Circle, go to dfymagicthemes.com/live for you, where we all talk about wonderful things, get golden nuggets and all sorts. But in the meantime, thank you to all the free groups that follow us, and we'll see you next week.
Have a great weekend, everybody.